Hi, everybody. I'm Pat Monticelli. Welcome to another edition of Business Matters, the Broomfield Chamber of Commerce video podcast. Thanks for being with us for this episode. On today's show, we're going to be talking about a couple of great ways to support the community through supporting nonprofits and through supporting our business community. First, though, I want to say that we are very, very happy to be back here at Ignite Video. We had our first series of podcasts here, and then we had to podcast remotely for several months, and we are so glad to be back here. Ignite is a great Chamber of Commerce partner, and we're so happy that they help us put these podcasts together. What we're going to talk about first today is the United Way's Day of Caring, and Juli Veser from the Mile High United Way is here. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Pat.
You know, Day of Caring, if you're familiar with it, if you've been around Broomfield and Boulder County for any length of time, you've probably heard about Day of Caring. It was the Foothills United Way's big volunteer effort, the largest one-day volunteer effort each year in Broomfield County and Boulder County. And Foothills United Way has since, probably in the last year or so, merged with Mile High United Way. But Mile High is carrying on the tradition and continuing Day of Caring, and it's got to be exciting for you all.
Yes, it's very exciting. We are so proud to be able to serve Broomfield and Boulder counties, and it's something that we've just really enjoyed about the merger, that we have been able to continue Day of Caring because it's such an important event for our community.
And it's such an incredible event, and you know, in the interest of full disclosure, I have a lot of history with Day of Caring. I worked for United Way for several years and had about 16 days of caring under my belt. And it was always such a great outpouring of volunteer spirit and community spirit. And I think that's why it's been successful for so long.
Yeah, for sure. Last year we celebrated 25 years. And this year it's going to look a little different, which we'll talk about. Right. But on August 28th of 2020, we are going to be celebrating our 26th year of Day of Caring.
And it's so exciting. Let's talk about, let's remove COVID-19 from the equation just for a second and talk about, in a non-COVID year, what is the idea behind Day of Caring? What are we really trying to accomplish with it?
Yeah, so it's not going to change as far as what we are going to accomplish or what we're trying to accomplish, but in past years, we have served the community by partnering with nonprofit partners to receive volunteer opportunities throughout the counties, and we recruit volunteers from corporations who are corporate partners to go to those nonprofit, usually in person, which is going to look a little different this year, but in-person opportunities. And then in addition to our corporate partners, we also recruit individual volunteers from the community to help us in our efforts to support nonprofits on that day.
And traditionally, these kind of volunteer projects for the corporate teams, for individuals, whatever they might be, are things that really the nonprofits need to have done, but don't have the resources to do. So, for example, if it's a painting of a wall or some filing or landscaping or things that are needed for organizations, but they just don't have the resources, that's where this really comes in.
That's exactly right. And we have done some amazing large projects like that. Some of our projects include, tending to outdoor space in public spaces and on nonprofit property. We also do, like you said, we paint walls. We actually had a group of artists paint some murals at a daycare center last year, and it was just a beautiful project, and the talent that came to volunteer their time was pretty magnificent.
And I think one of the most important things with it is that because these needed projects are getting done by volunteers, that frees up those nonprofits to dedicate more of their funds to their mission.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So what kind of feedback do you get from the nonprofits? How do they feel about Day of Caring? What kind of feedback have you heard about how this day helps them?
Yeah, so pretty much just what you said. It varies depending on the partner's needs, but like you said, it frees up and it gives to nonprofits in a way that they might have not been able to find volunteers to provide the services that they're providing on that day. Last year, we had 1,100 volunteers do over 80 projects with our partners in Boulder and Broomfield.
And so from the volunteer perspective, what, it always feels good to volunteer, but what really do the volunteers get out of this whole process?
Yeah, it feels good to volunteer, and then in addition to that, it's they understand and learn much more about their community and some of the needs of their community, and then they serve the community on the day of caring, but they might be a little bit more invested and decide to serve the community in continued ways throughout the year.
And anytime, from a nonprofit perspective, anytime you can educate the public about what you do, outside of a brochure or a website, that's always a great thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So if people want to get involved, whether they're corporate teams or whether they're individuals, how do they go about doing that?
Yeah, so we just want to thank every corporate partner and any individual volunteer who has participated in this in years past, and we want to encourage anybody to get involved this year. Even if you're not able to formally participate on the day of, if you want to acknowledge the spirit of volunteerism somewhere in your community, by doing something for your neighborhood or doing anything else that you feel strongly about in your community, we encourage you to do that. If you would like to formally be involved, we would really appreciate that, and we would love that. This year we're hoping to get over 500 volunteers and over 20 projects, so it's going to be a little different. We are going to have in-person opportunities that will allow for social distancing. We're doing a maximum of 10 people per group, and that will allow for social distancing in those in-person opportunities. And those will be similar to years past, like park cleanup or painting or tending to a garden. And then we are also going to have some remote opportunities, and those will include drives for local nonprofits, because nonprofits need even more than they have in the past because of COVID-19. And in addition to that, we have some fun projects. One of them is like painting birdhouses. So really just varied opportunities for volunteerism in the community. And if you would like to be involved formally, you can go to volunteer@unitedwaydenver.org, and those opportunities will be posted to the public on July 20th. So that's Monday, July 20th. You can go to volunteer@unitedwaydenver.org and see all of those opportunities for August 28th, 2020, which is our official day of caring. But that is also an amazing website that you can go to anytime throughout the year and see the different opportunities that our nonprofits are in need of volunteers. In addition, if you have any questions, you can email us at volunteer@unitedwaydenver.org.
Perfect. Well, it sounds like it's going to be great, and you did mention the minor changes involving the current COVID-19 situation, and I think most importantly, it's great that this event is able to go on.
Yeah, we are so happy to be able to do it, and it's been so nice engaging with the Boulder and Broomfield counties, and they're so interested in making sure that the nonprofits in our community are supported.
Absolutely. And again, the date is August 28th, and you heard and we'll show you that email address again and that website address again, so you can make sure that you've got all that information that you need. Julie, thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you so much, Pat. I appreciate it. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
You too.
Thanks.
Another way you can support the community right now is with more of a small business focus. The Broomfield Small Business Fund is a collaboration between the Broomfield Chamber and the Broomfield Community Foundation. The idea is to raise funds that can then be distributed as grants to local small businesses to help with COVID-19 recovery. And Sam Taylor, who is the president and CEO of the Broomfield Chamber, is here. Sam, it's good to see you outside the office.
Thanks, Pat. It is good to get outside the office and outside the home office.
Right, exactly. The Broomfield Small Business Fund, like I mentioned, is a collaboration between the Chamber and the Community Foundation. What was the genesis of that idea? Where did that idea come from?
Well, just as businesses were starting to shut down by the governor to try and prevent the spread of the COVID, I was talking to the mayor of Broomfield, Pat Quinn, and he's saying, businesses are really going to need some serious help. And so I started talking to the Community Foundation, and Pat started talking to staff in the city and county of Broomfield. And they discovered that they had an enhanced Broomfield fund, that they hadn't spent all of it, and they were able to pivot that right away. So they were able to do grants themselves. And so in the meantime, I started talking to the Community Foundation, Mariana Williamson there, and a few other people about how this would look. As a lot of people know, Community Foundation has an extensive history with granting, with bringing in funds, managing them, those in a very reliable way, and able to take the criteria and then grant them out based on whatever criteria they have. They have dozens of different funds. And it seemed like a perfect fit, because we at the Chamber, we don't have any experience with that. We don't have any committees that do that. So we started looking at it, and they started working at the board. In the meantime, the City and County of Broomfield was able to get another round of funding. The City Council was all behind that, about, yes, our small businesses are suffering, how can we help them? And the grants aren't a lot, but they're enough as a lifeline. So we pivoted ours to say, okay, this is going to be a fund for reopening. We're still trying to get to our first milestone, so we do still need donations to that before we can start taking applications. There have been quite a few people have given, as low as $5, as high as $1,200. There's been some of the last round of stimulus checks. There's been some donations of that. There's businesses, individuals are donating, and like I said, they'll take anything, any amount you want to give. $5, $50, $50,000. We'll take it.
Absolutely. One of the things that's interesting is when we think about fundraising drives, we don't normally think about them supporting small business. We think about supporting nonprofits. And certainly that's important. We don't want to downplay that, because as we just talked about with Juli, nonprofits need help, absolutely. But our small business community needs the help as well. Help that they may not be able to get just from the receipts from their customers.
Oh, exactly. They were shut down. Some of them didn't have customers, but they still had bills to pay. They still had, if it's a sole proprietorship, they still had their bills. They still had their car payment. They still had rent if they couldn't do something. They had electricity. They had everything they still had to pay. Many of them didn't qualify for the PPP loans, so they didn't even get any money there. And the people that work at small businesses, those are typically the ones that donate to the nonprofits. So it goes a full circle. And you're right. People think, oh, businesses, they're doing fine. They don't need help. I'd rather give my money that helps people directly, which is noble. But it's all part and parcel of the community, the small businesses, medium, large, nonprofits, our government sector. All of them have to work together for a very good community.
And that's one of the things we talk about at the Chamber all the time. If you're going to have a good, solid community, your business community needs to be strong, your nonprofits need to be strong, your schools and your local government all need to be strong, and that all works together.
Yeah, they really do. If one is not living up to what it needs to do, it can have an impact on the other ones. If you don't have a really solid educational foundation, businesses suffer because they don't have the talent for it. If you don't have a strong nonprofit sector, you suddenly are losing some of the talent pool, because they're going to go work for a company that has a philanthropic bent. I mean, that's very important in the community. So we really do need to support these small businesses that are really struggling. And right now they're coping with trying to deal with the limited amount of people that can be there. How do they keep social distance if they're used to having 5 people in one small office? How do you have them in there? How do they pay for equipment to have people work remotely? All kinds of expenses people don't even really think about until they're in front of them and they have to pay them.
Right. If you would like to donate to the Broomfield Small Business Fund, you can do that at broomfieldfoundation.org/smallbiz. broomfieldfoundation.org/smallbiz. Now, as Sam mentioned, the fund has not quite hit its milestone to be able to make grants yet, but they're rapidly approaching that. So more donations are needed. Once that milestone is hit, then the fund will start taking applications.
Yes, we're hoping to do that very soon, and we'd like to continue that and do another round of every month, because the effects of COVID, they're not going to go away next week.
Right. And that website, that broomfieldfoundation.org/smallbiz, will have information about about applying for the fund as well once those applications are open. Well, Sam, thanks for taking some time to chat about the Small Business Fund. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you, Pat.
And that's all our time for today. Thank you again to Ignite Video for helping us with these podcasts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on Business Matters.